let's talk about the most famous dynasty in West. Yeah, we all know them as the Dragon Riders who ruled over Westeros for 300 years. From 37 to 17 AC. That's a lot of time. So, let's talk about how they did it and how they lost it all. We'll start with the good time. The dynasty was founded by Aegon the Conqueror, who took the Iron Throne 170 years before the events of Game of Thrones. He was a brutal but effective ruler, and was succeeded by his equally ruthless son, Maegor the Cruel, after Maegor. The dynasty seemed to take a turn for the worse with Jahors the Conciliator, who spent more time playing court games than ruling. But he was well liked by the people, so no one really cared. He was succeeded by his son, Viserys, who was a good and just ruler. But that all came crashing down with his daughter Rhaenyra, who was named heir to the throne, and then her son, Aegon II, who we're currently watching on House of the Dragon. Things are going pretty bad for them right now. But if you want to know how things end for the Targaryens, just keep watching. No more spoilers. So, Rhaenyra and Aegon II's claim to the throne was challenged by their uncle, Deem, who had a very good claim as the oldest surviving male. Now, this started a civil war in Westeros, known as the Dance of the Dragons, which almost all the great houses got involved in. It was a brutal conflict that resulted in the deaths of many nobles and, more importantly, dragons. Yeah, because of this war, dragons went from being symbols of power to, well, extinct. By the end of the war, Aegon II was victorious, but at what cost? Course. This civil war was the beginning of the end for the Targaryens. They never really recovered from this. And by the time Aegon II died, the realm was in sharp decline. Aegon was succeeded by his son, Aemery, who was followed by his son, Durun, who was followed by another son, Beelan, who was followed by yet another son, Aemon. The Targaryens really had a bunch of kids, didn't they? Aemon passed the torch to his son Maegor, who was the last dragon rider. But honestly, he was kind of a jerk. He chained Stormchaser to a tower, killing him. Then he unleashed the remaining dragons on King's Landing, burning the city to the ground. What a total jerk, right? At least he didn't go and have more kids. Because if he didn't, the dynasty might have lasted a little longer. After Maegor was killed, the Iron Throne went to his brother, Aerys, known as the Mad King, who started the Mad King's tourney, which was basically a huge waste of time. He also unleashed the 7 deadly sins on King's Landing, burning the city again. Yeah, he wasn't great at keeping his home in one piece. But hey, at least he gave us Robert Baratheon, who was great at destroying cities. And that's the end of the dynasty that lasted for 300 years, and gave us some of the most iconic characters in pop culture history. Finally came to an end after the events of Game of Thrones. Hey, I know. Right. I'm still a bit salty about that whole situation, honestly.